G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel Bonsai Works. Today we've got a Shimpaku juniper. You would have recently seen me take the air layers off this tree down the bottom. There was a couple of air layers that I took off. And now it's ready for a styling. It's got lots of foliage, great. Probably more going to be a kind of traditional looking bonsai, this one. When it's completed, I'll just lower it a little bit there so you can try and see the base. I just did a bit of clearing away just to have a look at the base. First thing you should try and do is have a look at the base when you look at a tree. Then I tried to explore the rest of the tree. Lots of foliage, as I said, nice healthy growth. It's got a nice bend here in the trunk. It goes backwards and then comes forwards towards the top. Excuse the smoke. It's the mosquito coils I'm burning to stop the mosquitoes attacking me while I'm outside. I guess lots of good features on this tree. Lots of nice movement, nice sized trunk, nice foliage, lots of foliage. Probably the only downside is there's a bit, I'll try and expose this bit right now, is what happens is, see this bit, it's very straight and there's not much taper. So we're going to have to try either disguise that or work with that and try and play around with the ideas of how to improve that. So really now I just go about what do you do next? Okay, you've seen the base, you've seen the branches, you've seen what's good, what's bad. It's got a few other issues where some of the top branches are quite heavy in growth. They're quite thick, and they're sometimes a bit thicker than the lower branches, especially on this side of the tree. Now, how do we deal with that? We'll see how we go when we get up further on along the tree. So, I'll just try and bring it in a bit closer so you guys can see. I've got movement, nice movement. This issue here, where it's straight, needs to be combated. Like, I need to try and solve it. Now, the best way to do it is try and reposition the tree on different angles. So I've just got some blocks of wood. I try and move things around. These that are going to be better. Tree, the branch goes this way. The trunk goes this way and then comes back, but it's still kind of a bit straight, and it doesn't tell the story. So what I was thinking, I might actually put the tilt back on this way. Now I'll move the tree a little bit this way. I don't know how much of a tilt it's going to have, but it's going to be I was thinking it's going to be tilted more this way. Now the reason for it, there we go. Let's see. That's probably too heavy. The reason I wanted to do this is expose, like the trunk's grown that side. I'm going to probably have some shari along here where there's some dead cut-offs. I'll put some shari on the trunk along this side. There is a small young branch in here, but I'm tempted to remove that and create shari on this side. Small side apex on this side, longer apex on this side. So then you can see the movement of the trees this way for some reason. The tree has been exposed on this side, bent over, brought over this way by the wind. You know, for some reason it grew this way at the start for the sun, and then it's like over the years been bent this way, and having a tree moving in this direction. So that's how I see it, and the trunk looks good, and we're trying to combat this straight part here, which is slightly more now this way. Slightly, not too much, but slightly. So I'm tempted to put a big heavy wire and see if I can actually put a bit more bend in the top of this tree. It's not really going to move too much, but at least now I've given it a bit more direction, and then by having all these branches going this way, it moves, it kind of will hide this straight part. I'll put foliage in the way, and it eliminates that straight part, and that's how you combat it. That's how you improve it. That's how you fix a fault in the tree, you know, change the angle and try and expose a better view. So that's the plan. So where do we start? Really, the tree's foliage has all been removed. At least now we've got an idea, you know. We've done the steps, look at the base, what's good, what isn't, checked all the sides different ways. I spun this tree many times around. Best side is this side, tilt the tree this way, and now let's start working on the tree. It's a bit hard when it's tilted like that, so usually I'll just plonk it back down, and in my head I know which way it's going to move. And now it's a wiring process, so we get stuck into wiring this tree. First though, I might do some just cutting down here. I'll just use a sharp grafting knife to do that. It might take 20 minutes or so, and I'll come back and show you what the result looks like. Right, so coming back, the bit of the gin there, along, you see, where is it? There. So I've carved around the two dead bits, and I made a little bit of a shari down the trunk. that will improve over time and let it do its thing, die back and roll over, things like that, so look a little bit more natural. Having the tree at this angle, it starts to expose some things. So if you can see this branch here, now if I was to wire this branch downwards, it's going to have this bow in it, and it's not going to look good, so it's coming off. So then I might continue some of the shari up along there. So I'm going to cut that off, maybe have a little bit more of a little stub there, just to show you. Cut that off, and now I'll see about making a bit of a shari on this and creating another jin on this side, so you can continue the story of the tree. I'll zoom in on this area so you can see what I'm doing. So I've completed a little bit of deadwood work, shari work along that side of the trunk to explain why the tree got damaged this way, pushed over this way, maybe by wind and so on in the past. Now it's pretty much a wiring. I'm going to start to wire this tree, and start to position the branches and try and work out where I'm going to put things. So most likely, obviously this is a very important key branch. I'm going to drop it down low and it'll look quite good. Found it out. There's a back branch here that I'll just swing a little bit around to this side so you can it'll peek out on this side of the tree a little bit. So I'll swing that around over to here. There's some smaller branches here which will work really well for this side of the tree. I got some heavy ones that I'm going to have to try and figure out what I'm going to do with. So there could be more jin happening towards the top of the tree. I'm not 100% sure yet, but we're going to work through that. So now I'm just going to go away and wire. Okay. All right, everyone. So very hard to set that on a flat surface. All right, everyone. So you can probably now see the clear lines. The first branch has been dropped into here, and that there was a back branch there that I've moved around to bring it around a bit to the left. So you can see the direction of this branch going this way. It's a longer version. That's a smaller version. So you can see how I'm going to build the tree. So this is the first layer that I bought, and this is the other next layer up there. So a little bit hard to work at this angle, so that's why I keep it flat and then bring it up and try and tweak it. So I'll be tweaking it all the time, but you can very much see the nice lines, clean lines underneath, starting to fill out the pads. That will take time to fill these pads out a bit more, but now I just keep going up the tree, go to the next branch, to the next branch, to the next branch. So you can now kind of see the direction of the tree. You can maybe now picture how the top's going to be and where we're going to put things. So now it's just a matter of layering branches on top of and around and making sure it's got a nice three-dimensional look. So all it is wiring. That's all I'm doing is wiring and positioning, wiring and positioning. Very hard to show you that on the video, but I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to do. I've done a lot of videos on foliage placement, how to do foliage for junipers, so have a look at those videos if you can. All right, we'll be back with more on how the tree's developing. All right, everyone, so you can see the next level has been completed. I'm also getting a lot of the back branches also done. You can see that all pretty clear. Now I'm working on the most difficult part, is this apex. What are we going to do? How are we going to position it? It looks too much, of course, at the moment. I'm going to see how much I can twist down and get into place. It's going to be a little bit tricky. There's a lot of heavy stuff up here which I'm going to have to remove, I think. Have some smaller things to fill in those spots. And we'll look at trying to get it in position and create a crown in this tree. So a lot of the branches were nicely positioned. A lot of things are twisted and shortened a little bit to bring them back in. Very easy to do with Shimpaku. You just bend it back and in on each other, so you go backwards and then come out. So once you get back, you shorten the branch. Pretty cool thing to do. There's a nice little front branch that I've put in here, which works really well with the tree. I'll show you a bit later, a bit more detail, but it's worked really well. So lots of things happening really well on this tree. It's contorted, it's compacted now nicely. You could probably now start to see what I'm getting at in terms of the direction. These branches are shorter on this side, these branches are longer on this side. So let's try and figure out what we're going to do up here and work through it, okay? Alright, so I've got up to the point where I've pretty much wired everything except the top. I have wired it, but I haven't positioned it. The top's the hardest bit to do usually, but it's a matter of going step by step and working out where things are going to fit and creating an apex, a nice rounded apex. Usually you find sometimes a bald spot here and there, but they eventually fill out. Like a lot of my trees, my Shimpaku that I did the last couple of years, which had bald spots, are now filled out, and it looks really, really amazing. So it does work. What I did notice as I was working on this tree is that I think I had the tree tilting more this way. And whilst I like that idea, the more I worked into the tree, I removed a couple of big heavier branches at the top. That's pretty much, I think there's 3 heavy branches that I just removed. They were just too straight and too long and had only foliage at the tips, which are useless. So by removing all that, I got thinner foliage. And now what happened is the tree changed a bit in my eyes. It looks more simpler and more interesting. I'll have to find exactly where I want it. But it looks like a really nice tree, just pretty much standard, stock standard around there, I think it is. It's not too bad from my point of view. On the camera it might be a bit funny, but what I want to do is try and work with where the eventual front will be once I compact all this. So I might do I want to work on compacting all this, and I might want to try and do a video on a close-up view on how you build the apex. I've done that before with a black pine in my videos, and just want to show you how you do it like this, because a lot of you think, look at these long bits, how are they ever going to make a nice apex? You know, how are we going to compact them down and so on? It's actually quite easy once you get used to it. Once you get used to it, once you get the hang of it. It is all about just contorting the branches, you know, twisting them backwards and then forwards and compacting the branch, and that's what we pretty much do. Anyway, so I'll see how it'll go. I'll just zoom in and see if it works, and if it looks good, I'll put it in the video. I'm just going to work away and start to try to find my front again, which I'll look at right now. And I'm going to start, because I've wired all the branches, now it's a matter of putting them together. So I'll focus in on this area and hopefully it works. We'll see. So there's a gap in here. So I'm going to use this branch, push it back, push it forward, contort it, try and twist it and squish it into place. Follow up with its side branch. Pluck anything now underneath that's growing downwards, I'll pluck it out. This one looks like a little bit of wire, just to get some of these little finer branches down a bit further. So, but we got it in the right spot for now. Down a bit more. If I don't want a branch, I cut it. I don't pluck it, if you know what I mean. But I pluck anything underneath. Simply cleaning up the bottom, anything that's hanging down. I probably could avoid wiring now, because all the downward foliage is gone. And for me, with a nice little pad, I can just put into that spot, and it sits right into there nicely. Area. This back area needs a bit of branching, so let's get the back area sorted. Set some back branches. You just want to try and lower these branches enough to try to form a three-dimensional shape. And the further you go up, the less you're going to bring the branches down, the more you're going to go upwards a little bit and then down, because that helps shorten the branches. It's kind of funny right now. You can see one guy sticking up, and you can see this other big heavy branch in here. But do you see how everything's been compacted around everything? Everything around has been quite brought in back into symmetry and back into the shape. I don't need to do the big cleaning out, but you see what I'm trying to get at. Now I've only got 2 branches, which are probably the heaviest ones, to try and set in position. But everything's been contorted and wide in a way that, it's about that, wide in a way that now has left gaps for this to sit in and this to sit in. And so we're going to work out where we're going to fit it. But there, So that secondary one's been put into place. And let me just give the tree a tap and all the little branches will fall out. Now I'm just the top, right? And that is just purely, should be pretty much a simple process of when I know the front's at your point, so you can see the front there. It's simply going, because I put all these smaller ones to create almost like a top of the cone. So you're almost at the top of the cone, now you're going to put the top little bit on the cone. So if you get backwards, so you see how it's shortened already, and then you come back forward and twist it around. I know there's a little bit of a bush, but I have to look at it. But you see how quickly that compacted? It's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to have to look at this and try and position it exactly where I want it. But that's the point. It's go backwards and then come forward and try and create some sort of apex. You're going to have to wire, I'm going to have to wire a bit more detail into this top part, but you get the idea. I hope you got that idea. So that's really brought it down. Now it's a matter of me going through. So you saw that's come right down. I've got to thin that out, wire some of the smaller branches and put it there. But you can see the rough shape now it's looking at. It's not too bad for a first go at it. I'm going to clean up all the lines, find exactly where the front is, and we'll come back with the final product. Just got to do some cleaning up around here, spread this out a bit more, like I would just wire out the small ones, and then fill that out, and then we'll be good. And that's how you create it. I just want to get the right angle, as I said, and we'll have a look at it in a minute. Okay everyone, so for now that's what I envision the tree. This is kind of indicating where the frontage should be. I tried to clean up the lines as much as I can, but it's a nice interesting tree. If I tip it down you can see see how it comes up and around. I think it'll look good once I establish it. I think there's options to tilt it and so on eventually. I just like it as it is, to be honest. It's come up really nicely. The main reason I had to change if the angle change is because when I got to the top of the tree, having the tree go this way wasn't working. So I corrected it and put it back that way, and it's pretty much how the front is. I've got the shari along the trunk, which is at the front of the tree now. Got all the pads and so on, and I'll give it a little spin. You can see it's pretty three-dimensional. A bit heavier in the back, you can see that. Lots of barren branches at the back, which will be reduced over time. But nice three-dimensional kind of tree. A few things a bit longer than expected, but we'll get there. For a first go, it's looking really nice. I think it's come up a treat. Nice little Shimpaku there. It's a good, what's that, about 20 centimeters or so, 30 centimeters. Nice little tree there. Should come up really well. Not much more to tell you. Pretty much come up with an idea, come up with a vision, and start to execute it. Get your shari work done initially, then try and figure out where you're going to place your branches. Do a lot of thinning. I've done a lot of thinning out, mainly things that are growing underneath, crotch growth, things that are too long, things like that. But now this tree will just sit there and recover. I'm not going to plan to take the wire for at least 6 months to a year. So the main thing I'll do is feed this tree over summer. Just in summer, Shimpakus tend to grow a lot, so that's a good thing. So it should set in its design and so on. So anyway, guys, there it is. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Bye.